The story of Jackson Pollock is an interesting one. After reading a few biographies, I can tell you about his story and how he impacted the world. He was born on January 28, 1912, in Wyoming. He would move around greatly in his life, and shortly after his birth, he moved more. He would go with his dad on his Native American surveying trips and get immersed in Native American culture and view their artwork. This later impacted his own way of doing art. Skip ahead a few years and we get to him being hired for a federal mural project. While working there, he developed his alcoholism. Skip ahead a few more years and we get to when he strikes out for himself and gets his own artwork into galleries. He was an abstract expressionist and he painted in his own fashion. On August 8, 1947, Life magazine wrote a 4-page spread about him, which even further escalated his famedom. But shortly after that, in 1950, he would switch from what he was doing and remove all of the color from it. And this is when many people call it his black pourings phase. It was black on an unbleached canvas where he tried to balance abstractness with a depiction of figure. These were a total flop and didn't sell any in galleries. So he later switched back to his old ways of his old drip method. During this time of his rise to fame, he would meet his wife, who was also showing off her own paintings at a gallery he was showing his same paintings off of. She would help give him understanding of what the art world was doing and how it was shifting. We get to his later years where he was mostly only doing sculptures for friends and curators of artwork, and he sadly died in a single car crash caused by him driving under the influence. There were retrospectives of his artwork in the Museum of Modern Art in New York City and in the Tate in London. Now, to understand why his artwork was so impactful, you have to realize how he painted. He wouldn't paint with brushes or easels like other painters. He would paint with the canvas on the floor or on the wall, and he would fling the can of paint and just paint like that, without brushes or tools to transport the paint from the can to the canvas. He developed this method after measuring and studying how what he did to the can impacted how the paint got on the canvas. This was already novel to what many people were used to, but it gets weirder in that he would use sticks, knives, and trowels to help form the paint on the canvas and mix the colors and help form the final product. But even after that, he would add sand, broken glass, and other foreign material to the artwork to help give it texture and flair. This was very shocking and gave it a very great pop when it was shown off at galleries. Another novel thing he did with his paintings is he named them different from other painters. Painters will name the artwork of what it's supposed to depict, but because Jackson Pollock was a abstract expressionist, he wanted the viewer to project onto the artwork themselves. So he wouldn't name his artwork what he saw, he would just number it, which forced the viewer themselves to project onto the artwork. I hope I was able to give you a deeper understanding of Jackson Pollock, the abstract expressionist, and what he did.